Hey ho, I hope that you are having a great .NET Conf event so far. And right now I will be talking how you can develop WinUI and UNO applications using the UNO C# markup that was just released in the version 5.0. My name is Pedro Jesus, and I have been working with .NET since a long time ago. I can't even remember any numbers, and my focus was on the .NET Mobile, so I worked building mobile applications. And also, during that time, I contributed with the Xamarin Forms projects, the Xamarin Essentials, the Xamarin Community Toolkit as a core team member. And right now, on this new era, I have been contributing also with the .NET MAUI and the Community Toolkit.MAUI also as a core team member. And I also started to work at Uno platform, that is another UI framework with the .NET. So I can tell you that I'm very excited to be here because I can work on the two lovely UI frameworks for .NET. So let's take a look on our agenda. So first of all, we will see what is the C# markup. So that way we can get on the same page. And after that, we will go to the demo, okay? And all coding, all live coding, and that exciting that developers love. So we have a playground page that is where I will show you the basic syntaxes and basic APIs for the C# markup and how those things tie together. That way you can build your own mobile applications and get started with that, okay? I will also cover some common pitfalls that you may find in the way, so that way that way you can avoid those rocks on the path, okay? And then also after that I will show you other page samples already built in, so we'll more code reviewing and the feature reviewing, and also showing how you can extend the C# markup, creating your own extension methods to make sure that the API will looks like the way that you want to code and make you more productive. And after that, we will see about the custom controls and how custom controls can be used with the C# markup. And after that, I have to ask you, do you want more? I'm pretty sure that you will. So I will share resources where you can find the documentation, applications to take a look, and their GitHub repo where you can ask for more features and you can ask questions, and also the person that you should ping on Twitter if you want any feature or any question directly to the creator of that framework. So let's go. What is the C# markup? C# markup is nothing new, okay? I can remember the first time that I heard about that was on the Xamarin era when Vincent created a library that allows you to code Xamarin Forms UI using C#. With this fluent API design, which is way nicer than the built-in API from the Xamarin Forms. And at the time, they tried to put that on the Xamarin Forms framework itself, but sadly, that didn't happen because the time that they tried that, the Xamarin Forms was transitioned into the .NET MAUI. But the idea was really good, and people really like it to have this other option to build UIs. Then we created the community toolkit.maui.markup. And this is a project on the Community Toolkit umbrella that I am very happy to be part of. But the principal guy on that project is Brandon, because Brandon loves C# markup, and I learned a lot of him about this idea in the process, and I want to share with you all as well. Hello, Brandon, by the way. So here we have the two pieces of code, one is C# on the left and the XAML on the right, and this compiles to the exactly same page. But you can see the small differences and then the way that you code and the way that you need to think to do your UI. And of course, we want to provide choices for you, for developers, so they can choose between one or another, or even mix both XAML and C# during the UI development. Then I will show how you can mix C# markup with XAML, and you can have the best of both worlds. But it's all about having options, okay? So let's go to our demo. So here we are on our sample application. So let's get started and start to build our UI using the C# markup. So the first thing that I want to do is to set my data context. Well, the compiler almost get ready, write what I want to do. But instead of using the property, I want to use the extension method generated by the C# markup. And I want to do the new playground, new model. I can type. And now I will have this delegate here. So this overload provides me a way to pass the instance of my view model, and it provides me a delegate, an action with the page in the view model. Okay, so let's go and start to build our UI. So I will do a padding, and here comes a pro tip for you. So if you are looking for the extension method on the C# markup, just go for the property of the control, because the methods on the C# markup are mapped to be one by one to the property. So that will be pretty neat to use if you are kind of lost, okay? So let's do a background here. In the background, I want to use a theme resource that I already have here, and boom. And this theme resource is based on the theme that my system are running. So if I'm in the dark mode, I will get a color, and if I use in the light mode, I will get another color. So let's do here the content. And by the way, this is a default key provided by the by the Uno resources. Okay, so it's because of that I can just use this key here. So let's create our text block and do my text. Hello from Uno C#. Okay. And this should be enough to start. So let's build our application, and I will run this application on Linux just because I can. And let's move from there. So here we have our application with our text, but it's pretty small and hard to read. So let's make it better. So let's increase the font size to 30. Then let's align our content center, and yes, thank you, Copilot. And let's save. And as you can see, I was using the hot reload, so the UI just changed, just get updated. So let's give us more room. Since we have a hot reload, you can code and see the changes on fly. So let's move this from here to here, and let's do more tweaks here. So I want to use now a layout here to make this UI more robust. Okay, so let's start with a grid, and let's give the grid role definitions, and the syntax for this role definition is the same syntax that you use on Xenon. So nothing changed from here and there. So let's grab the children. So I have the property as I mentioned, and then transform it as a method. And on my children, I will just add my text block here. And let's save, and nothing will change because we just add the layout, but the positions and everything else will be the same. Okay. So let's add a new control here, and a new button with the content as click me. Whoops. And let's save this and see how that goes. Okay, we have the button here, but it's above our text. So let's position it correctly. So to position it, we need to specify a grid.row and a grid.column, and those are attached properties. So the way that you can use it on the C# markup is to this method called the grid, where you can specify the column span, row, and row span. Okay, so we need to be explicit here. So I will pass just the row and 1 here. And boom, now we go, and it's clicking and nothing is happening. So let's give this button some behavior. So I have here my view model, and I will do a method, increase the count, thank you, Copilot, and int count here. Then I will, okay, I forgot the shortcut. Then I will do this as observable property, and this will be a relay command. So I am using here the community.kit.mvvm. That way I can have those attributes to generate the boilerplate code for the MVVM for me. So I have my button here and I want to use the comment, right? And I have this overload that say, hey, pass me the comment. Okay, let's pass you the comment. So I do the increase count comment, I will hit save, then we will hot reload and boom, we have a no reference exception. And it's telling me that my VM value is null. Let's check that. So the VM value is null and the page is not null. So keep that in mind, okay? Inside this delegate, the view model will always be null. It's just use it here, that way you can have a strongly type way to code in to reference and access the properties. And so because of that, you should never use like this. Instead, you need to do this lambda expression here. So this now will be an expression, and this expression will be evaluated by C# markup during the runtime, and will provide the correct value for you, okay? So in other words, this is more like declarative way to programming instead of the imperative way. So let's run this again and see how that goes. So here we are again with our project running, and I'm clicking and everything is working. So let's put a breakpoint here and make sure that the binding is working. So I clicked here, the binding got hidden, and the value is 9 and now it's 10 because I clicked more than once. So okay, the binding is working the way that should be working, the way that we expected. So let's do more stuff here. So let's binding this text block to our count property on our VM. Okay, so let's do that, and we have the change here, and now you can see the value. Okay, let's move a little bit further. Okay, now let's go to the next level. Let's do a text box here and do a more complex binding. So I will save this for later. So I have my text box here. Is a control that I can add text and input there. So what I can do here, instead of passing an empty lambda, I will pass a value and I will do a binding. And the binding, I will pass that expression to bind it to my count property. And I will set the mode of this binding to be a two-way binding. That way I can, excuse me, I can change the value from the UI to the view model and from the view model to the UI. So let's see. I am here with 80, and if I press 1, now it's 82, 87. So I can influentiate the value from the view model to the UI and from the UI to the view model. Pretty neat, right? So this is just like a binding on the XAML. Okay, let's go one step further. Let's now use some resources here and use our resources as the content of my button. So for that, let me grab a piece of code real quickly. So I have here my resource of geometry, and this resource of geometry is just a static resource where I pass the key, that is the play icon. So I am using nameof to make that strongly typed, and I pass the path, the play path, that is just a SVG path. And here on my page, I will access my resources dictionary and I will add my, okay, and let's use that. So since this is a resource, I needed to use the path icon and pass the data as my play icon. And let's save that and see if I have my play icon. Yeah, I have, and it's working. So let's add another one. So let's add the stop icon here. And as you imagine, you should add it to our resources dictionary. And just to make sure that everything is working, I will do the stop icon right now. And the value changed. Okay, so I have two resources here, and my plan here is to change this value, tweak the value of the content based on the value of my count property. So how we can do that? Yes, of course, with binding. So let's give us more room here. Then I will pass the same syntax as the top one. So I will do a binding, then I will bind it to my count property. And yes, Copilot, you are pretty much correct because I will use the converter here. So the converter here is, in this case, will be a method that accepts a func of int and will return a object value or depending another value here, depending on the way that you code this. Okay, so in this particular case here, is an integer value that is accepting as input parameter because the binding is tied to an integer property. So since this is strongly typed and the binding, we already know that is binding to an integer property, that information will flow all the way down to the other helper methods there. So I know that I'm passing the count here, and I want to provide a path icon, okay? And my data will be based on the value of the count. So if, let's give us a little bit more room here. So if my data, if my count divided by 2 returns 0, then I will just do the play icon. Otherwise, I will do the stop icon. And let's see if that is working. So I have my play icon on 0, and on 1 I have the stop icon, and then we have this value switch between each other. So looks how cool is this? Like I just inline use a convert, and I could make a property to mean another thing and to be another thing to the button content, okay? And I don't need to create another class that implements an interface and implement those methods and then reference it here and there. No, I can I can do everything just inline, just like that. And this is pretty neat. Okay, so let's do a quick recap here before we go to the other samples and do a code review on the samples and see how that works. So we have here our C# markup page. We used the data context on the one of the overloads is passing the instance of the view model, and then I have this action here where I can start to build my UI. And remember that the view model here will always be null. The data context provided on this delegate is always null. So in order to use the value, you use it like a lambda expression in a declarative way. That way this expression can be evaluated during the runtime and will provide you the correct value. But if you use it directly, then you will be hit by a null reference exception, and we don't want that. Okay, so let's take a look on the other samples. So let's take a look at this sample here. Okay, I'm using a XAML page, and this is the page on the application. And the key thing here is this media cell here, because this media cell is nothing more than a control created using the C# markup, but that is used inside XAML. And this is a user control, and here, as you can see, I am using another overload of the data context, and right here I am passing the type of my model of my data context. So I'm using the generic here, and I have that lambda expression, that delegate, that gives me the view and the data context for that view. In this case, is this search result that is nothing more than a read-only record structure with 3 properties. And the content here, and the UI here, and the way that you code the UI is just like the same that we used on our playground. So nothing new here, nothing fancy, just showing up that you can use XAML and C# markup together to build your UI. So let's take a look on how that will looks like. And I will search for Gal Costa. There is a great musician here in Brazil. And as you can see here, this is our item template, where we have the title of the media and the duration of that media and the image of that media. Okay, so again, use whatever that you want to use, and let me know in the comments if you are more like a XAML person or C# person, or XAML and C# person. Okay, but we give you choices, and you can look and use whatever that you like most. So with that, let's take a look at our last sample. So let's take a look on our final sample. Here I have a page where I have those 2 controls. There is the circle progress one and the circle image. There are my custom controls that I created using SkiCharp. And here I have a button at the center that I can change the content based on that strategy that I showed you on the playground. So let's take a look at the code of the page first. So here I have my play path and stop path and my resources. So this is familiar for us. And I have my data context here and it starts to build my UI. And here on my content, I have a method called the main content that returns a grid that I want to use there. So this could be a good strategy. Like if you are building a UI very complex, instead of doing all the UI inline inside the content method, you can refactor that to be methods that make sense for you. Maybe they run rows or regions of the UI. That way it will be easier to maintain your code. And here I have, again, a grid returning another method that generates this piece of UI, and I am position this grid at the row 1. And you can see here that I am using enums because I am more a naming person than a number person. I can remember and reference better on my brain using names instead of numbers. So this is not supported out of the box on the C# markup. So let's go on F12 here. And as you can see, I have this sugar class where I have a bunch of helper methods that I created, and they looks like the C# markup methods, but they are mine. I created them to use this to make the usage of the C# markup way better for me, and that way I can be more productive and happy as well. So here I have this extract method, and I just pass in the element as a generic value, and the generic needs to inherit from the UI element in this case because it's what the grid also asks to do. So I needed to respect that restriction. Then I have my first parameter as an enumeration, and this will be the row, and my column in that case is just integer because I don't have columns, so no reason to make that complex or to pass a number of columns since there is no. And then by default, the value is 0. So there is no column, put that on the position 0. Okay, so I will return the element.grid. So as you can see here, I am calling the grid method from the C# markup. And for the row, I am just convert my enum to be an integer and then pass it through the column. So pretty straightforward, pretty easy to customize the C# markup and to create your own extension methods. That way you can code the way that you like most. And here I have my main content, basically the grid image part, where I have my circle image that is my custom control, and I have my circle progress that is also my custom control. So let's take a look at the implementation of those controls. So here on the circle progress, as you can see, is a schema view, and I have here also, oops, I closed that. So let's do F12 here. And here we can see the properties. So I can see all the dependency properties of this of this class, of this control, and it's just exactly the way that you're doing if you're doing an application or a UI application. So I have my properties, I have my dependency properties, and I have the onProperty changed method here that will trigger my invalidate method to redraw all the UI. And the same is true for the circle image as well. So it's again a schema view, and with a bunch of dependency properties there. So as you can see here, I can use the existing properties from the C# markup on my control, and also it provided me with the properties from that control. So for example, this is stroke width, progress color, and progress are properties created for the circle progress itself. So if you do a F12 here, we go to the generated code, and as you can see at the top, this file is auto-generated by the Unifying generator for the C# markup. So when you create a custom control and you created your dependencies properties, you don't need to do nothing to get the C# markup for your control. We get that for free. Our source generators are looking on your code, and we will generate the code as soon as it identifies that you are creating a control for that. And this does not just works for your custom controls, the custom controls that you create on your project, but you can also generate C# markup for third-party controls. So if you go download the NuGet packages from the control, you can tell the C# markup to generate the methods for those controls. And here also, as you can see, you can use all the binding power that you can use on the built-in control. So you have, again, let me stress again that you have all the power of C# markup even on your custom control. So it's pretty neat, it's pretty amazing, and just go for that. And here, as you can see, also last thing, we don't have yet extension methods to hook up to event handlers. So in order to do that, you can use this assign method here, where you can grab that control that you are creating, that you are new upping, and provide a local variable to work with. So I did that for this grid, this main grid of this content, and I am subscribing to the size changed. And when I do that, I am pretty much sure that if I using on desktop or if my window size changed, the my skill controls will redraw and will respect that rearrange of the window. So that way they always look nice and concise for the UI. Well, that is pretty much it for the demos that I have to show you, and I really hope that you enjoyed this C# markup, and I will show you right now all the resources and where you can get more information and more application samples. So, do you want more? Of course you want, right? So let's take a look on where you can get more resources. So if you are new at the Uno platform and you want to try out that today, just go to the Get Started link. Then you can see how you will set up your environment to start to work with Uno. And here we have two workshops. One is the simple calculator and another one is the Tube player, where you can learn and follow these steps to create those applications using C# markup. And also, if you need any help for us and you have any questions, just go to our support and we will do our best to unblock you. And get involved with the C# markup. Just go to our Uno platform / Uno extensions repo on the GitHub and ask for questions, ask for enhancements, tell about some bug that you found out, and interact with us. Let's make the C# markup way, way better and way, way helpful for you. And also, if you want to ping directly the person that works with the C# markups, just ping Dan Siegel on Twitter and ask him for more content if you need it, for more samples, and ask him questions and ask him for more stuff, okay? And that's it, my friends. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope that you continue having a great .NET Conf. So, bye bye.